slow, long bows, making sure you're opening and closing the elbow. And then as you get faster, you use less bow, and you have to zoom in on the spot where spiccato is going to happen, which we all know is based on speed. So that's one of the things we look throughout this whole step. So you would go, just making sure opening the elbow, closing, as you get faster, making sure that we're still here, that it's never like getting in the hand. So with the students, just make sure they're still getting there. Usually what I'll find is they'll get so and they do this, right? And it's like, nope, we're not going on until you figure out that portion of it. We got to keep here. Also, if they get here, then they'll get frustrated if not spiccato. I don't care. If they're doing this correctly, that's A+. We've moved on. That's the first step. And we'll start from slow, getting to fast, but remembering we're trying to keep here, right? So that's still from, because it's step 1, that's the elbow. So we're keeping the opening and closing of the elbow, but we're listening for the sound. So I like to start very slow, and when we go slow, we start at the frog. So we just get one at a time. And if we want to get into the semantics of it, then you say, you know, this tempo, it's very clearly from the string. You grab the string and let go. And here's another one of those, like when we're this low and slow in the bow, it may not feel like it's much of an elbow, but it's important to make sure we're still finding that moment. So it's not, right, like good. But even if it's a small motion, it can be here. And then we just get a little faster, keeping that sound. And what you'll find, which is, this is the whole semantics becomes a little bit interesting. There's a certain place, like I'm still placing, here, I feel like I'm dropping more. So again, it's about, it may feel a little bit different, but we're still listening to the sound. The same opening and closing the elbow. We get faster, noticing we get a little bit higher in bow. Bow hold, it's not locked in any way. They can probably get through steps 1 and 2, and then they will get here and come to a screeching halt if they're locking their thumb, if they're overpronated, or if they're doing something funky. It's not going to work because this will highlight this. So the balance in the hand, that when we are in the right place, this is the fulcrum, and these fingers go for a ride on the stick, right? Neither one of them is they're both super important, but neither one of them is controlling, right? So this is, there's an old, I think it was an ASTA article, Ellen Rose did from the taps, and it basically incorporating that, but I like to work here. So this one, step 3, has A, B, and C underneath it. So, but it's for the bow balance. So you start with finding up in the upper half, and what you'll do is make sure everything's in a good location, your elbow's in the right angle, you find the bow and string, and then you rotate the tip to the ceiling without changing anything. And then you drop and dribble. And the point of this is you want to feel fairly firm in these fingers that I'm holding on the stick still, and you want to feel these go for the ride on the stick when you're dropping and dribbling. And then this is kind of fun, you can get into like, let's have a competition, because it's a parabolic curve when you drop it, right? Like, who can make that dribble last the longest? Because if they're tight, if you're gripping the stick, that happens, right? So you drop and...
That's coming from here?
I just lift up here and then drop it, right? And you can do it without once you drop here, like you could do that a couple times, let them feel. I need the pinky to hold the stick up, right? Like as soon as I take it off, it drops. The first finger helps prevent this from happening. It just helps guide it a little bit when you drop. But the pinky really feels when you're doing this, that it feels like it's jumping on the stick. You'll feel the stick bounce and kick into the pinky. So finding that feeling and letting them understand that. So this is step 3B. Once they can do that, we come a little bit lower in the bow and we start doing rhythmic taps. So this is, the pinky is really kind of controlling that, pushes and then drops. So the pinky lifts the bow and then lets go. So if I just drop and dribble, but to maintain rhythmic, the pinky re-engages. But while I'm doing this, I'm still trying to feel this fulcrum here and feel these fingers able to go for the ride so that neither of them are coming control freaks. This one is really the big key, right? That's the one that most students have problems with. So we have this here. Now, here's where we start. Once we get a 3B, 3C, this is where we start adding out everything else we've already learned. This is addressed the bow balance when you need it in the hold. We'll get lower in the bow because we're going to find combining everything else. So we're going to tap, tap, tap. When we're ready, we will just open the elbow and try and find the sound of a spiccato. Okay, get a little bit better grab. So here's things that I see a lot of times. I'll do this, and then when I get ready, they'll actually like pick up the bow before it's no. It's a timing thing to try and let go and time it right when it catches. Then you can do an up bow. When they can do this. And notice when you play one, you take plenty of time. You don't go straight back into it. But then you can do tap, down, up. And then eventually you can start doing more of it. Go straight back into taps. So making sure that the elbow open and closes. We're trying to get the right sound. Go back to here, keeping that feeling in the bow hold. So when you're doing the taps, we have to find that balanced bow hold. And the key is we're trying to find that same feeling when we get here, when we're opening and closing. That's not something like, okay, you will submit to me. The trusting it and letting go. Up a hill, you lean into the hill. When you're walking down the hill, you lean the other direction, right? So when you're playing on the string, this is my arm, it's the string, when we're on a down bow, if I'm here, I'm falling off the hill. Gravity's not working with me. But if I'm on this side, when I play on a down bow, gravity's working into the string. So down bow on the left side of the string, right bow, up bow on the right side of the string, right? So C string side and A string side, right? We're on a middle string. I guess I could say F string side and E string side, but right. But, so here, and that when we do spiccato, because to have an even spiccato, which is what we're always looking for, where the down bows and the up bows sound equally well resonant, we need to find the perfect balance where the stick is able to catch that. So this is where all that physics becomes important, right? So if we're in the right place in the bow, and our elbow is in the right place, this way, which is what the step is for, to find what level our elbow needs to be. We are finding the place where the weight of the tip offsets the frog, and so as we're going, and our hand has to be loose over here, which is why step 3 was so important, that it's allowing the stick to catch. So on the rebound, it grabs it, basically. If you're too far here, it stays on one side of the string and you end up feeling duh, 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 right? Or vice versa. So this is step 4 is an exaggeration exercise to find that. And I like to do this with, stand up, just because they end up mirroring each other. It's infinity signs, right? So we'll start here on the down bow, the tip is heavy, and we're at the frog, you catch a string, pop, and you keep following through. And then it sinks over here to get the right hand side of the string, right side of the string, string side. You catch the bow, catch the string with the bow, pop, and there's the follow through. So you're making these infinity signs this way. And notice that my elbow is really like changing angles right when I'm here. You see the infinity sign? So in front of you, but I do it that way because they end up getting very confused if you're trying to mirror. So here, here, here. And things that are problematic for them. They will want to do this immediately, and it's really about the round part, the bold part, like play, and there's release. It's like a plane taking off. It's left the ground, but it's still traveling this way, and then it's a very shallow curve, and then we come this way. So it's not static this way. So that's the motion first, and then we have to do it on a string. So, and because it's exaggerated, and we know the location is important for where you're going to be, we have to go really slow and kind of take the time. But we start with a lot of bow so that we can really feel this motion. And when we do this, we explore the edges of like where we need to be on our elbow. So the elbow will be moving quite a bit. So I'm on the D string, we'll be on the G string side of it for the down bow, and everything comes into play, right? So I just want the opening to be from my elbow, not my shoulder. I want to have a puh sound, like the sound that we've discussed in step 2. And then my bow hold needs to be nice and balanced. This will become more important as we go faster with it. Really slow, we have to grab the bow to take it off the string and follow through, so it will not be as obvious in the slower portions. But so we get the follow through all the way over here. Now here's like, you have to really kind of grab the string. There's no way we can, you have to engage at the tip. So we're finding the angles, and then we start to speed it up and use less bow. As you do, the elbow will stop traveling as much. And we can start to do it without having to place. So around here, I feel like my elbow is more or less in one place. I feel in my wrist that there's a lot of movement on the side of the string. As I get faster, that settles down, but if you look at the tip, it's really going until here. I may not even feel it, but if you slow it down on the high-speed camera, it's still there. So we have found that angle to find where we need to be. So this is avoiding that, like when the spiccato, a lot of times you'll hear this because they're too far on one side of the string, and then usually steps 1, 2, and 3 come into play because they know something's wrong and they don't know what, and they start seizing up and trying to make it happen. They get here, they get tight in here, those things.